Celeste Mergens. Wow. Wow. The energy, the gratitude, the light that shines from her is absolutely incredible. She created Days for Girls, a foundation in which girls across the world get menstruation products and recognition. She talks about going to Kenya where the girls were forced just to sit on cardboard, and then there was a political issue there. Oh my goodness, the homeless there, the people in the areas just tripled, and 500,000 people were abandoned, and they were left there, and they wouldn't talk about it. And she created this organization that helps to date over 3 million girls in over 150 countries. Absolutely astounding, the stories that she tells. She was homeless at 5 years old and has a story of which kind of made a big pivot in her life, where a woman threw an apple away and she tried to get it, and the woman insulted her, and what happened there. And the book that she wrote, The Power of Days, will be out by the time this airs. I encourage you to take a look. But Celeste is absolutely amazing. I was first introduced to her by TED Talk about 9 years ago. That's absolutely incredible. But I'll leave you with this. 8 out of 10 women have started their period unimpededly without products. 96% of those women have to leave work to get products. I ask about what men can do about it as well. Very interesting conversation there. But Celeste is a beacon of light and just absolutely wonderful. You're going to love this conversation. I did not want it to end. Thanks for listening. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz. People ask me, how did I lose 130 pounds? The quick answer is always discipline. I started my business, wasn't paying attention to my health, was eating too much, drinking too much sweets. My daughter was born. Next thing I know, I'm pre-diabetic. I have hypertension. I knew something had to change. Discipline. I, like many of you, have faced many challenges in your career, in your family, in your life, in your faith. How did you attack them? How did you approach them? How did you solve them, hopefully? It all had to have some degree of discipline. I'm also asked, how did you found and start a tech business that lasted over 25 years? Discipline. I was committed to it, enjoyed technology, didn't enjoy some aspects of it, but knew it was necessary. Discipline. Our podcast mission, how do we use discipline to better ourselves and society? Join me, please, as I talk to interesting people and discuss how they use discipline in their family, in their passion, in their careers, and how it helped them. Our podcast vision, growth through learning from others. Joey Pinz Disciple Conversations. It'll be light and serious. Join us, please. Thank you for consideration. Oh my goodness, Celeste
Nice to
Mergens.
meet you.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk to you. So excited to talk to you. Why have a license plate that says gratitude? Gratitude.
Because the truth is, it's one of the most powerful things we can do to have a happy life. When we choose to focus on the things that have been a bright part of our day, then what we focus on comes into focus, and we become more aware of the blessings in our life and create more of that. So having gratitude is a great team builder. It's a great way to keep your energy up, because high achieving individuals tend to run to accomplish the next thing and not even stop before they go to the next task. If you're gratitude oriented, you will pause long enough to go, yes, we did it, and have the energy to run to the next one. Gratitude changes everything.
And you spend time daily enjoying, discussing mindfulness of your gratitude.
Oh, absolutely. Everything. It just really gives you energy, helps you recognize the good things happening in your life, and honestly helps you be more in a create mode, because you're all about seeing opportunity, seeing the good things instead of being stuck in your mind, instead of being stuck in the past. You're present and what's engaging right in front of you. And you're looking for the bright spots and what's happening to you. So it's really so powerful on every front of your life and existence. So for me, seriously, this is a gratitude girl.
Mm. I know oftentimes when I force myself, when I think things are getting bad, you sit down. I just took a deep breath right there. Didn't even, didn't mean to, because I think, okay, it's time for gratitude time. My kids are healthy, I'm healthy, it's time for gratitude. What is the technique to mind the gap?
This is recognizing that between every moment that an experience happens, that may even be traumatizing, and the moment that we respond to it, the moment when we decide what it means to us, is it defaming, deforming, or is
Mm.
it something that we could choose to be curious about and find the gratitude in, even when it's difficult? So, by this, I mean our brain defaults to negative. It part of our brain, just that's our specialty, to keep us safe. And so if
Wow.
we don't recognize that, then things will default to a negative
Hmm.
definition, and we will be ending up being drug under a rock for protection. And by that I mean we end up feeling like we have to be cautious of everything. However, if we can hold it open just for heartbeat and say, okay, yeah, that was really bad. And what can I do about it? How can I be creative and curious about what other outcome could happen right here, right now? Deep breath, like you so beautifully modeled. And
Mm.
now you have opportunity to create a new kind of outcome. It's really important to give yourself just that moment to allow yourself to decide what an experience means to you instead of letting it be an automatic default to negative.
In the United Kingdom, when they call it the tube, I believe. So, but when you get on the train, there's a big, sign on the floor that says "Mind the gap," and there's a gap there. In the States, I believe it's "Watch your step." I believe
Mhm.
that's what we translate it to. Means similar things, but "Mind the gap" plays a better role for you.
It does. For me, it means that not only can we be aware that that heartbeat between an experience and when we translate it and respond to it is a powerful opportunity to decide for ourselves how we're going to define our life in those moments. And for me, it's always also mind the gap. In other words, there's powerful potential in the moment you might automatically decide that we can use in another way. So, if I may, I would elaborate that, for instance, you're at the grocery store, you see one of your best friends, and you wave, and they look right at you, and there's no response. Your brain will automatically go through, oh no, what did I do to offend them? I knew it. I should have invited them. It was just because we only had room for two people. And oh, what am I going to do? And all the things, all of a sudden you're down a rabbit hole, all your energy,
Mm.
you're drained with it, when in reality, they very well may have not even seen you. They may have been looking in your direction with their eyes, but their mind was thinking about what they're going to make for dinner. So the truth is, you just used all this energy when you could choose to say, huh, that's interesting. She doesn't usually act that way. I'll have to check with her later to see what's going on, see if she's okay. So if you just stay curious, two
Hmm.
things happen. One, you could be right. Maybe they are mad at you, in which
Hmm.
case, aren't we better off if we're calm and composed when we come to that conversation than already worked up? And two, you're probably not, because often there is another explanation. And now you've come to that conversation in a healthy place. You saved yourself energy, you saved
Mm.
yourself stress just by deciding to be curious and interested instead of defaulting to worst case scenario.
Which brings me to a pivotal point in your life, Celeste. You're very young, and you're without a home, and Cruella de Vil throws out a half-eaten apple, and this is where you start to find gratitude.
Yes. So, you know those moments when you think it's the worst thing ever, but then it turns out to be a gift for you? This
Mm.
was a really strong example of that for me. It was a moment when our family was between homes. We moved 32 times before I was 13. And I was walking along the sidewalk, and this woman comes into view, and she throws a half-eaten apple into a dumpster. And I'm trying to see if I could get in the dumpster to get it, because it'd been a little while since I'd eaten, certainly a while since I'd had fresh fruit. And I was trying to decide if I could get in, had just decided I couldn't. And she's looking me up and down and says, "Where are your shoes, girl?" And I remember my response, because I did think of her as Cruella de Vil. It was just
Mm.
emblazed upon me that moment. It felt like a mirror turned around, and I could see that when she looked at me, she saw someone small and unkempt and dirty and clothes too small. And I said, "I'm toughening my feet." But in that moment, I also felt this feeling that I am not from here. I am
Mm.
not what you see. I'm not this place. And she was already gone, so I couldn't even say that to her. But what it did, that I didn't recognize as a gift until much later, is it gave me the chance to, at a very young age, decide for myself, are you the homeless girl? Are you the girl with no shoes? Are you the hungry girl? Or are you something more? And that was such a huge gift to get that so early. I didn't, again, see it that way, but it was a huge gift. And really set the seeds for me to recognize none of us are. We're not our experiences. We're not our circumstances. We're not, for good or for bad, we're so much better than any of that. We're what we choose. We are the lessons we learn and the ways we engage. And that is choice.
Mm. Your TED Talk about 9 years ago now is so riveting, Celeste, is so
Mhm.
powerful and
Thank you.
light and direct and polished and wonderful. Tell me about Days for Girls.
Days for Girls was also born of a question moment where I had been helping with sustainable solutions in Kenya, and then learned while helping an orphanage that they were sitting on pieces of cardboard for days
Right.
during their periods. They had nothing to use. And so they missed class. They missed taking care of themselves. And I knew we needed to change that. But it was during a very difficult time when an election result was so close that both sides decided to fight it, and 500,000 people were displaced because of it. And now this orphanage needed everything because it had
Mm.
swollen to over 1,400 kids. How is that even possible in a small space? And so, having learned that, we were able to provide basics and thankfully washable pads that we designed and brought so that they could have what they need. And they explained in the moment that they received them, the first girls coming out, still cheering, the echoes of the other girls echoing from the roof. They explained that they were being exploited in exchange for a single disposable pad.
Mm.
And that was the moment Days for Girls was born. We help make sure that periods are never a problem for anyone. And we're working for the day when periods are never a problem for anyone. And we've reached over 3 million women and girls in 145 countries on 6
Amazing.
continents since that day.
8 out of 10 women have started their periods unimpededly without products.
Yeah.
96% of those women have had to leave work to get products.
And we can change that. That actually is one of my favorite things about working on menstrual equity and giving people their days back. There are so many things that are hard to change in this world, but this isn't one of them. This is one that we can do in our
Mm.
lifetime. We can shatter the stigma. We can give people back their days, and we can do it just like there used to be the suffragettes. And we didn't get to help make sure everybody had the right to vote. But this one, this we can do.
Mm. And you talk about the washable pads, the menstrual cups were designed for like
Mhm.
2 to 4 years, but they actually go 2 to 7 years, and
Yeah.
how you helped in that. I didn't even know that something like that existed. That's wonderful.
I didn't know either before all of this started. In fact, I didn't ever consider to ask the question, what were they doing until this all happened? And I was as shocked as anyone. I literally gasped when I learned that they were waiting in their rooms. And I'm really grateful there are products that can last month after month and people can count on them. It's actually a really healthy solution for people and the environment and being dependable. Who knew that this would be so important? And it turns out it gives days of dignity, health,
Mm.
opportunity, and strengthens the whole community.
You've got pictures on your website of you with the children there, and they look so happy and fulfilled. Can you explain the sense of just pride and gratitude of helping them like that? Must be wonderful.
Well, it's a joy for us to get to help them, certainly to see those expressions and to know that they got their days back. And it's amazing to watch their responses because this is something we didn't even talk about, that in many parts of the world it's stigma in a way that we can't even
Mm,
imagine. You can't be in your home, you can't be even on the pathway to the home, and now imagine your community knows that without periods there would be no people, and this is a natural part of being a healthy person. And now the whole dynamic changes and you have what you need to leave the room. This is so joyful. And one of my favorite things is that people get to have the conversations in their communities. They get to be the ambassador of health for their communities. It's an entrepreneurial opportunity for them to be able to create a business while being an ambassador for everyone to know and shatter the stigma. Volunteers all over the world help. This is something we can take on, and watching the shift that happens when you know that you can have your days back and you have the strength of those days and you're creating the kind of shift that this program does is so beautiful.
you talk about redefining masculinity, where we're going to address the importance of male engagement in menstrual health.
We call it Men Who Know, our program that involves in that, to recognize that strength is not just physical strength. Strength is leadership. Strength is
Mm,
engaging. Strength is taking on things your community needs, and then they become ambassadors for menstrual care. And it's very easy to say, oh, I'm not talking about this thing that is honestly one of the world's most prevalent taboos. So imagine that they're able to say, no, this matters to my community, my family, so I am part of the solution. It's really beautiful.
it is. And you bring out the point that taboos actually meaning is menstrual related.
It is. It originally was part of the islands, and it meant menstruation was the word taboo, and like the roots are part of this fear of something that really connects us all. Without periods, there would be no people. But
Right.
anything that has to do with blood, we relate to injury and illness. So you can see if you didn't know what it was, how easy it would be to make it something that's untouchable, unspeakable. And we need to change that because we know better now.
I'm always, I have daughters, Celeste. So, whenever when we were out shopping and they needed, I said, okay, is this what you need? Tell me the products you use. I was always oddly weirded out by fellow friends, fathers who were, like taken back by that. What's the problem here? This is natural. It's nothing. I always wonder about that. If a man's uncomfortable with something like that, why? That's just me. I'm not quite sure the reasoning there.
That's so impressive. We have to give you kudos because you are in the minority. Do you know that there have been studies in Canada and the US that people are afraid to talk to their doctors about menstruation? They would rather
Huh.
talk about STIs than menstruation, even to their doctors. And I think again it goes back to if you don't look at it, if you don't recognize, hey, wait, this actually is natural and it connects us all. It's healthy and it's part of beautiful
Yes, it
bodies and
is.
how every mammal is more mammals happen in beautiful, healthy ways. Unless you have the conversation, we're back to that fear again. It's easy to be
Mm.
kidnapped into fear. You have to consciously choose, hey, I'm not afraid. And congratulations for being one of the people that chose that.
Well, when my older daughter, when she'd have it, I say, "Well, that's good. Your body's recycling, and you're not pregnant." And of course, this is the last thing they want to hear from their father. So perhaps I went too far, but I like to see the bright side of things, and it's not something they want to talk about, perhaps at that time, because there's some pain involved, etc., depending on the severity. What is the power of we, Celeste?
Oh, that's Days for Girls. I mean, it is absolutely proof that when we come together and worry more about what we can create and what we can make better than about the silos that divide us, that we can do anything. And Days for
Mhm.
Girls is the best example of that, because if you can create a global movement about something we no one wants to talk about or few want to
Mm.
talk about, then you can do anything. It's the New York of development issues.
Mm.
And so, really, Days for Girls is proof anything can be taken on when we come together, and that hope is something that needs to resonate around the world. This book, The Power of Days, that's about all of this story, is really about that, about the power we have when we come together, the power of we.
And that's dropping in October very soon.
7 more days.
What was the journey of writing that book? Tell me why you started. Tell me how it was.
Ah, the stories of those that I've had the pleasure of working with are so profound and beautiful.
Mm,
So I
mm.
knew that I needed to share them, and I would remember and ask them questions and get more details all along the way to share with others. And so I was taking notes, and as it came further and further into it, I this has to be a book that people can open up and follow the journey. And it wasn't easy. It took 5 different versions. It took me 4 years, because how do you choose which stories? How do you choose
Mm,
how much of the stories? And because Days for Girls was a global effort, and how do you share and how do you share the stories in a way that people can hear it and take it
mm,
in and
mm.
understand how richly beautiful the impact has been. uh, it took 4 years, but the results have been really good, and we're pleased with all the interest in it.
It's obviously nonfiction. I mean, was it pen to paper? Did you type? Did you storyboard?
Both. Oh, storyboarding, you should have seen it. I
Really?
had giant sticky notes all over, all different colors and strings, and and I changed the complete format 4 different times. I tried telling it, weaving the 2 stories, mine and theirs. I tried it sequentially. It was storyboards happened, and I'm glad to say it all worked out, but it was a little tricky.
Yeah, because you don't want to make it about you. You want to make it about
No,
what they are. And so you want to get your perspective because you're the one who's telling it. And it's kind of a delicate dance. I could see how that could be time consuming.
absolutely. And
I
yet
mean,
you also,
editors.
at the very beginning, a friend who has a small press said, send it to me. I'll look at it. I'll give you feedback. And I had done it where I was like, this opening story of being homeless and the apple and how it taught me an aha. And then I skipped to here I am in Kenya. And she sent an email and just said, call me. And then when I called her,
Uh-oh.
all she said was, uh-uh. And then she said, you don't get to do that. You don't get to go, I'm homeless and I learned this amazing thing, dot, 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 Kenya. You have to fill in the gap. We need to
Uh,
know why it is you do things in the unique way you do. Back up. And that was the process to find that balance, because it isn't about me. It's about this beautiful movement and all the incredible miracles that happened because people came together and talked
mm.
about something no one wants to talk about. It's it was a challenge.
In the TED talk, you came to this epiphany when you were sleeping about how they getting served, and you didn't know what to do. And you went to the computer, you searched, and you inquired, and you got an answer back. And that's when you found out about they were sitting on cardboard. I mean, uh,
Yes.
what happens at that point, Celeste? You go crazy,
Right? Especially if you know that because of the crowding after post-election violence, they were
right?
2 to 3 on each bunk. And then the bunk beds side to side and end to end. So they had to crawl in to the back bunk. So how do you wait on a piece of cardboard in a room with more than 50 people? How do you do that? And so it was unbelievable when they said they were sitting on a piece of cardboard. And even more when we got there and we talked about what a period is, and we did education, and they got their kits and how to care for them, and we had this incredible conversation, and they're cheering, and to hear that they were being exploited in exchange for one, it was honestly just this clarion call that would not leave me from that moment. I
Mm.
had to show up.
People don't like being told what to do, but invite them, and they will walk miles with you with the power of shared purpose. That's your
Absolutely.
quote,
No one
Celeste.
likes being told what to do. Do you?
No,
I
no,
I personally don't know what it is, but you tell me what to
yeah,
do, and it's like my toenails turn into talons.
yeah.
Now
That's
I'm
right.
not. I don't know why,
That's right.
but you invite me. I literally will walk the
Mm.
planet with you. I will do anything I can to help, and I think that's true for everyone in the development world. Often, the focus is telling them what to do and what's wrong instead of
Mm.
inviting. What do you need? How do you see this can happen? What could we accomplish together? That is a powerful change maker.
Is there resentment from authorities and factions there of letting you help?
You know what? I think it's a time that has come because we have had wonderful acceptance. We have had wonderful acceptance. We've had people from governments and agencies, and there has been some. There are some places where they have to do the instruction almost in private. They have to like whisper where they're going to be because
Wow.
there have been places, and once in Malawi, they brought the Days for Girls kits and the education that always comes with it. And the chief forbade them to pass them out because he said, "You can't talk about this. There will be a drought." The women gathered for days
Mm.
saying, "Please, we need them." And then finally he relented, but they were not allowed to talk about anything about periods. So they ended up just passing pieces out. And of course, it wasn't effective at all. Later, they came back and had the education. It had to come bit by bit. And at one point, because I stood up with the girls who were being exploited at the beginning, I'm told that there was a price on my name for a little bit. I don't know how much. It might have been a very small amount, but nevertheless, for me, standing together with others is priceless. And it's been a gift and an honor to hear them and now
Mm.
to share their stories. I'm just so grateful for the gift of being part of something that we can change together.
A price on your head, meaning if you got kidnapped, what you released for? What does that mean? That's
I don't
incredible.
know. Okay, here's what they said.
Celeste, you're worth a lot of
That
money.
this man at the very beginning had put a price on my head that if someone captured me, that they would win this price.
Oh,
And
I
I don't know if it
see.
was 30 shillings. I don't know. But the only response we had was, I don't announce where I'm going before I come to a country. I announce
Wow.
after I'm already leaving where I've been. So,
Mm.
so that's been the only response. There's not been, I've been fine.
The power of saying yes, even when a door is closed.
Well, I ran a writers conference I had founded before Days for Girls. And there was a moment when all of a sudden it was just clear that I was done with that and it was time to move on to something else. And I didn't want to because I
Mm.
really loved it. I really loved what I was doing. I woke up every morning think I must be the luckiest person in the world. And I didn't want to close that door, but finally it became
Mm.
really clear that it was time for me to move on. And so I did, and I was mourning. I was just so sad. I felt so completely punished. And if that hadn't closed, I wouldn't have been available to go to my friend to Kenya. And all that happened afterwards for Days for Girls would never have happened. And I just find it interesting that it's so easy to regret a moment of shift. We don't know what's coming. Change can be difficult. And I really loved it. And that happens, I think, for a lot of us. And it just amazes me. What if I had kept forcing it? What if I had stayed?
Mm.
And I'm really grateful for that closed door.
And where is the program now? It's still happening. Can people help? How's it working now?
Oh, absolutely. You can go to daysforgirls.org. You can join volunteer chapters or teams. You can join clubs at universities or schools. You can help with advocacy to help governments and local communities where you are to have positive period programs and responses. Take away the taxes. It's taxed as a luxury tax, period
Mm.
products are. What's that? And you can also help wherever you are, being part of funding and even buying the book. Part of the proceeds goes to Days for Girls. So there are so many ways to help.
So, Celeste, I started my business in the 90s. I wasn't paying attention to myself. I was not grateful. I was not showing gratitude. And I was eating too much and working way too much and got myself up to 340 pounds. And the doctor said, if I don't lose my daughter was just born, if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see her graduate. So I spent the next 6, 7 months losing the weight. And when I tell people this,
Amazing.
when I tell people this, I could see it in their eyes, Celeste. How'd you do it? What's the secret? And there's no secret. It's just discipline, right? I put myself here. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to take care of it. And it's discipline. How does discipline play a role in your life,
Uh,
Celeste?
well, for one thing, when you choose your purpose, congratulations, by the way, that's
Mm,
amazing. Well done.
mm,
And when you choose your purpose, you it's not a rock that you're lifting or pushing up a hill. It's a sail that lifts you. So when you take responsibility to just pay attention to what is calling to you and what things are really a lovely part of your life and build that in as your reward, then I would get up at 4 a.m. because I was so excited to get started. And I had to go, as soon as you do your study, your journal, and your workout, then you get to go sit down and work. I mean, because I knew that I wanted to get to work and do more of what I was doing and the goals and objective. So for me,
mm,
I love setting goals that I'm excited about and making the why really, really big. And honestly, between you and I, that has to do with setting some pretty big objectives, like things that make people take their breath away and they go, "You got to be kidding me." That that's where I like to lean in, where people say it can't be done. Like, let's go.
mm. And there's discipline in that. There's discipline in not only setting those goals and objectives, but setting the tasks to get there, the milestones,
Yes.
etc.
Absolutely, because it's sometimes hard to keep showing up and saying 3 more. I have 3 more. Right now I'm promoting the book. So that has taken podcasts and pitches and articles and social media. And honestly, I'm not very comfortable being out front. I love speaking because it's like crowd surfing and I love watching their eyes light up. But being on social media just feels like, oh, it's
Mm,
painful to me, but I know it would help get the story out. So I show up and do it and take a deep breath and here we go. And I think part of the discipline of it is to allow yourself not to have to be perfect. Because I don't know about you, but for me, it's like, got to get this right. It's got to be just right. And
mm,
so for me, part of the discipline was also to just go, it's your job to get it done. Stop worrying about being perfect. Just get it done. So I have longer checklists than all the experts advise. But for
yeah.
me, I just put it all down there, take a deep breath, keep going, and set an alarm for when I'm going to stop for a break, and then alarm for getting started again, and I just keep going. So it has taken a great deal of discipline, and for me, it's been joyful discipline. I really
Mm.
do call out for myself. You did this, 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 and this. Way to go! All right, 5 more tasks. You ready? Dive in. So for me, it's almost like being part of a swimming event, right? I got to the side, I've done the first 3 heats, 2 more heats, and you're done for the day. You ready? Let's go.
Mm.
So I really do hold discipline in creating what I want to accomplish by the end of the day and then going for it. Almost to a fault. I'm really good at focusing.
You are really good at focusing, and one thing I learned about you, Celeste, is you're modest and you're genuine, and you talk about calling out. So here it is: awards, Global Impact Entrepreneur by Conscious Company Magazine, 2018, Woman of the Decade by Women's Economic Forum, top 5 conscious business leaders 2019, named Washington Global Hero 2019, AARP Purpose Prize Award 2017, Washington State's American Mother of the Year 2014. My goodness, while you don't set out for those awards, it's nice to be recognized.
It's been amazing. It's been amazing. And for me, always, it was about that help bring more awareness to Days for Girls and the issues that we're taking on. And honestly, the awards get an opportunity to have a platform to talk on, right? And just
Mm,
like the book is. Um, but honestly, it's all proof of the power of we. I didn't make all the connections. I didn't create all the solutions. I didn't volunteer all the hours to make it happen. I didn't write all the articles. It's the power of people like you coming together and say, let's talk.
mm.
It really, all of those awards, when I stood up, I thought of all those who made it possible. And that is humbling. That is humbling to want to be worthy. Sorry, this happens. To want to be worthy of being the voice for them, being the voice for the amazing people who may not be heard.
Right.
That is humbling.
Certainly is. And when people like Halle Berry recognize it and these awards and it's astounding. And we need more people like you, Celeste. It's absolutely wonderful. What motivates you?
Challenge and also helping people. I know that sounds, but always, how can I help? It is so fulfilling to me to know that our talents and gifts can make a difference not only in our lives, but in others too. To me, it's so satisfying, like a puzzle piece that finally clicks into place when you go, my talents are here, your talents are there, go. It's kind
Mm,
of, do you remember the scene from Apollo 13 where all the engineers come in and they dump everything out? This is all they have in the
that's right.
capsule. We have to make this filter fit in this square hole or whichever it was. And we have minutes. Go. For me, coming together with someone else is that. It's that satisfaction of you have this, I have that, we have this shared objectives. Let's lean in to our strengths. That is my favorite thing.
And motivation has a lot to do with purpose.
Yes, absolutely. Living with purpose makes every day feel more worthwhile. I think it's one of the things that is so easy to be trapped from when we silo each other, when we make each other, you're in that column and you can do this, but you can't talk about this. And you do, I hate this. Do you hate this too? When we go there, instead of, I would love to see more of this in the world. How about you? And oh,
Mm.
you're not interested? Okay, great. Next. Good luck with that. Because it really matters. All the issues matter, right? And if we each lean in with purposefulness where we feel called, then it all gets covered. It doesn't matter
Mm.
that we care about the same thing. It's really good that we don't have the same talents. It's really good that we don't all agree because that's what you need to make the world a better place. And I'm really grateful that I get to be part of the opportunity to make the world brighter, not more dark, and more about the light that we can accomplish together instead of the hatred and the fear. I'm really grateful to get to lean into
Your process of accomplishing these things, Celeste, is it more science than art?
that. Oh my, I would say it's both. I really do map out
Yeah.
backwards. So it's 10 years from now, what have we accomplished? And then how did we get there? It's 10
Mm.
years from now, people have what they need and people are talking about it and there's no more shame and stigma. Who did we talk to? Who came together? Who is part of this? And then just fly with the creativity. So stylists started designing things with messages on them. Bands started speaking about this. And in my case, we even had 2 Guinness World Records because it's like, how do we get people to talk about periods? We did one for most pair of underwear worn at once on Valentine's Day. We did one for most humanitarian kits packed in an hour. And it took a lot of work, but it's always how do we engage? How do we get there? If everybody's talking about what can we do, and it's okay to be creative, it's okay to be out of the box. And it's okay to be purposeful, and then build the columns of these objectives can be reached in these way. Here's the check marks that make it happen. And importantly, who is it that has the talent and would love to do this? Let everybody lean in where they would love to do it. Instead of going after trying to drag something you're not good at, choose to team with people that are really good at the pieces that they'll love doing. And then together you'll get there faster.
Is there a hashtag of menstruation, a period? Is there a hashtag that I didn't even
Mhm.
notice in your social media? What is it?
There are a few. There's menstrual equity. It's
Menstrual
period
equity.
poverty. It's MHM, menstrual health management. There are a few of them,
Hmm.
a lot of them actually.
I know we talked about masculinity for a moment a while ago, but what what are some concrete things that men can do to help here? I don't like the idea that this is a feminine issue. It's not.
No.
It's so what can we do? What are some concrete things we could do?
Well, you modeled it really well. Talk to the people in your family, talk to the people in your
Mm,
friends group. Don't be afraid to talk about periods. And we don't have to be creepy to talk about it. You can just
right.
normalize it and not make a big deal about it. And be willing to, if you see someone with a stain, grab something to help them get to the
Yeah.
bathroom and not be embarrassed, and make it a no big deal. Talk about it, all of us, even me. I've had times when it came up, and the first instinct really is, oh, I don't want to embarrass them. I probably not better not say anything, and I know better. So
Mm,
being able to take a deep breath and say, oh wait, okay, without periods there would be no people we're talking
yeah.
about this. And honestly, when it comes up as an issue in government and taxes and votes, go with your daughter with a poster to the Capitol and say, periods shouldn't be taxed. I just show up in small ways, in big ways. And the biggest way is that when you do talk about it, be aware of what energy you're bringing. Is it, here's a pad. I don't want to, talk to your mom. Or should it be, hey, let's get some pads. I got you. Which one do you like? Because I don't know. And they're all different. Different people like different things. Which ones do I know? Um, it's how we talk about it. In the same way as when we're talking to someone, we say, "Oh, I really love that," then they didn't love it. But if you say, "I really love that," it's how you say it, how you
Mm,
address it, and how you take it on, and that takes consciousness.
mm, mm. Yes, do a better job with that. I do. I have that kind of discussion with some of my friends every once in a while, and they get kind of creeped. Like, come on, man. Come on. Look, we're come on, man. There's worse things
I
than
don't.
that. Come on, man. That's nothing. Just go to Costco, get a lot of them. Come on. What's the problem? Just uh
Good
yeah,
job.
yeah. So something we could do there. How do you measure success, Celeste?
For Days for Girls, there's many monitoring and evaluations that happen. Uh, the surveys of what they know that they didn't know before, their reports of whether they're able to go to school and work and be confident with their days,
Mm,
and of course how many we've reached. But it's not just that; it's how it's impacting their life, and it's beautiful to have the data come in. Right now in Cambodia, there's actually master teachers who are going to teach teachers who will teach the students, so that everybody learns together. And the data before and after is really beautiful to watch. Teachers who were afraid to talk about it, thought they would be shamed, thought the parents would be angry at them, thought the students
mm.
would laugh at them, to turn around and say, hey, this is actually something we get to talk about, our amazing bodies. Let's go. That kind of shift we get to measure. And that's a beautiful thing.
Over 3 million girls in over 150 countries, close to. And you
Mhm.
mentioned at one point, you kind of said it, and glared over. I wanted to bring back some of the kind of tribe mentalities. If they talk about it, their crops, it's like superstition.
Mhm.
And even in the Old
Mhm.
Testament, I believe there's some passages about not touching women during this, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yes,
there is a stigma there.
absolutely. And And it has to do in different cultures with different things. We were once in Guyana, South America. We had just come to a place, coincidentally, they were having a conversation and it sounded heated, but it was in a language we didn't speak. And we were asked to stand by. And it turned out that we were there to talk about women's health and to talk about how to use their kits. That's what we were there for. But what was happening is there had been a banana blight that started at the particular plantation that was nearby. And they had just decided that a woman that showed up for work every day was responsible because she had to have been working while on her period. So it was her fault. And how could they punish her so that the blight would stop? That was happening right when we got there. And
Wow.
thankfully, she was one of the people to get education about what a period really is, how it works, that every mammal has this cycle that creates the continuation of their species, and about how amazing our bodies are. I have a basket right here that she wove and sent because that conversation and knowledge meant that she could go to her whole community to talk about what it really is. And not only wasn't she wasn't ostracized, but instead she became a leader. These conversations are change makers. Who would have guessed?
Making a real difference in something that I hate to say it, something that just seems so necessary and so kind of just mandatory. It's a shame that we have to have these kinds of. I guess it just
It
really
really
goes
is.
into. It's a shame, isn't it?
It is. And remember, the best part is this is something we can change. This
Right.
is just a conversation we haven't had yet and an opportunity for us to lean in new ways, to talk about things that were difficult to talk about and say, actually, we change our mind. We recognize that connects all of us. It's about health, it's about wellness. There's nothing to be afraid of. We're just going to talk about it. And we're going to make sure there are solutions that they can count on, whatever works for them on our in our generation, in our time, we're taking it on. It's going to be done, and it will.
Celeste Mergens, you're an inspiration. Your genuinity. You have a glow that's just radiating and contagious. I was so excited when you accepted this, and um, what you're doing is absolutely incredible. How can people? You talked about it before, but let's go over it again. How can they get in touch with you? How can they help?
Please visit daysforgirls.org. Learn all about it. There are videos. You can watch the women talking about it from all over the
Yeah.
world and see it and share it with others. You can have conversations. You can join a chapter or team. You can donate to Days for Girls. Just $13 gives a woman what she needs that can last for years.
Wow.
$13 with the education. So that's amazing. And also, you can buy the book and share the conversation, The Power of Days. It's coming out in days and it's got a lot of great reviews. So I hope you love it as much as I've loved sharing their stories. It's really my love letter to the world that
Mm.
there's a lot of hope and we can be the change we so yearn for in this world.
Well said, Celeste. Thank you so much. If I'm ever in your area, I believe you're in the Northwest. Perhaps we'll have a cup of coffee and continue the conversation.
I would love that. Thank you.
Thank, thank you so much. You be well. Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Would you like to financially support the podcast? You can go to our Patreon site. Consider $5, $10, or $20 a month. There's all kind of plans that we have there. There's like a one-time payment. What is this podcast episode worth to you? $25, $50, $100, $500, $1,000, $5,000. You be the judge. You can go to our PayPal account to do that as well. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Disciple Conversations.